The Corcoran Entertainment Show is brought to you by Podmatch, the ultimate platform designed to connect podcast hosts with prospective guests effortlessly. Are you a podcaster looking to elevate your show to new heights? Or perhaps you're a guest hoping to share your story with a broader audience. Whatever your podcasting goals are, we have the perfect solution for you. Podmatch simplifies the entire process of discovering guests for your show or finding podcasts to feature your expertise. Now imagine a platform where you can easily match with like-minded creators tailored specifically to your niche. With Podmatch, you can effortlessly network with influencers and thought leaders, all while staying true to your podcast vision. There are a multitude of ways that Podmatch can help you grow your brand. You can be part of a thriving community of podcasters and potential guests. Engage, collaborate, and grow together. If you're ready to experience these fantastic benefits for yourself, we invite you to join Podmatch today. Head over to www.joinpodmatch.com/Corcoran Entertainment and sign up right now for only $6 a month. That's right, you heard me right, $6 a month. Join the Podmatch family today and watch your podcast soar to new altitudes. Thank you for tuning into the Corcoran Entertainment Show, and happy podcasting. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Corcoran Entertainment Show. I am your host, Frankie Corcoran. Happy Thursday. Hope everyone had a great week or is having a good week so far. It's not quite over yet. And there's a long weekend coming up, Victoria Day weekend this weekend. So if you're traveling, whatever you're doing, hope you guys enjoy yourselves, make good choices, stay safe if you're traveling, wherever you're going. Yeah, we're not really a crazy amount going on for me. We're still working hard on rehearsals for The Ladies Foursome by Norm Foster, which is our next Corcoran Entertainment production. Very, very excited. It's coming together super well, and tickets are still on sale. You can get them at the Miramichi Golf and Country Club. You can get them on Eventbrite, which we'll put the link to the Eventbrite in the description of this episode. And you can also get them at the door or by texting or calling 1-506-624-3315. So be sure to go get your tickets and come support us. Rockin' River Fest is coming up quick as well, too. The big concert with Brett Kissel, Amelia Underhill, Amber Walls, and Signal Hill for the after party. So that's all in the description as well, too. So moving on to our guest today, I had a blast with this man here. He is a TEDx talker who has spoken on stages in like several different conferences. And he specializes in helping solopreneurs replace manual tasks with reliable systems so they can take time off worry-free. And he's got a fantastic story. Joe Casabona, he was so knowledgeable. He was so enthusiastic, and he was just a blast to have on. So thank you so much, Joe, for coming on and for sharing your story. Hope you guys can learn something from it as well, too. It was just, I had a blast. I was blown away by the sheer amount of talent and the work ethic that he has. And was just a great conversation. So hope you guys enjoy it. And without further ado, guys, just sit back, relax, and enjoy the podcast today. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Corcoran Entertainment Show. I'm your host, Frankie Corcoran, and today I'm joined by a multifaceted TEDx speaker, systems expert, and his main goal is to help solo entrepreneurs or solopreneurs reclaim 10 to 15 hours per week by replacing manual labor with automation and delegation. Joe Casabona. Joe, how are you today?
I am great, Frankie. Thank you for that fantastic introduction. I'm really excited to be here.
No, it's great. It's always like I always try to go off the top of my head and introduce the guest. And then this time I was like, anytime there's someone who's done so much and I'm like, and there's so many, I just want to make sure that I nail it. Do you justice. So, Joe, we were just talking before we started about you always wear the same. You have a podcasting shirt, correct? Like anytime you do interviews, is what you wear. You're not wearing it today because this is an audio only podcast. But explain to the viewers what we were talking about.
Yeah, so I have I mean like if I was going to be pretentious, I would be like, well, Steve Jobs always wore. No, it's if for those who don't know, Steve Jobs always wore the same thing because it reduced the cognitive load. It was like one less decision he had to make. Um I wear it basically for brand awareness, right? My brand colors are this navy blue and then the yellow that you see in my hat. I love going to conferences. I love going to events and I love speaking at conferences. And so I always, when I'm on camera, I always try to wear that navy blue shirt and the yellow hat, which you see in my profile picture as well. And that's so people can easily recognize me. And I feel like, if you're playing the AI drinking game, I'm sorry to bring it up so early, but um, I, my most popular post on LinkedIn last year was basically a screed against AI headshots because I think your headshot should accurately represent who you are and what you look like. And so I want people to know beyond the shadow of a doubt that what you see on camera and what you see in my profile picture is what I actually look like in real life.
That's so good that you brought that up because like I'm in this authors writers group, like many different writers groups on Facebook and things like that. And like they'll always put out on there, and this isn't to cast shade at any of those people, but for me, I always it's one of those things, like I get it where it's super convenient to do a book cover like that, and saves you lots of money than having to hire editors and things like that, or illustrators to do your covers for you. But it's just so funny whenever I go on there and they're like, guys, what do you think about this cover? I worked so hard on it, and it's just an AI ChatGPT generated cover, and I'm like, you didn't work hard on that.
Right, right,
And I feel bad. As I said, I'm not trying to cast shade on those people or anything, but it's just so funny whenever you see that and they try to let on that so much blood, sweat, and tears went into it. And I'm like, all you had to, so it took blood, sweat, and tears for you to type in ChatGPT, write me a cover of this, like it's
right.
just kind of
Yeah.
funny.
I iterated a bunch, right?
Exactly. I'm just like, okay, but and as I said, that's not me trying to, cast shade or things like that, because I mean that's not what I ever try to do. But it just goes to show like how far we've gotten in the world of AI, and it's people talk about it all the time. Some people say it might be annoying, but it's like it's such a crucial part of the world now because that's what a lot of people are doing. I mean, how have you viewed the AI world through your work?
Yeah, so I mean, as you mentioned, like I try to save solopreneurs time, right? I think a lot of solopreneurs feel like they need to do everything themselves. This was kind of born out of the fact that I helped a lot of solo podcasters who weren't necessarily making a bunch of money with their podcasts. And so like they didn't feel like they could hire an editor or a VA or the right tools to do stuff. And so I want to help people do that. And AI almost feels like a cheat code. And when something feels like a cheat code, I always ask, what's the catch? And so I use AI almost every day. I don't know. I'm on for transparency's sake, I'm using like Claude Max and I have a little app that tells me my usage and I don't think I've ever hit 25% of my weekly limit. So I'm sure I'm not using it as much as other people, but I use it I use the computer program to do computer things, right? So like I had it churn through my podcast and YouTube analytics to tell me, hey, what is popular? What are people looking for from me? Look at the comments and like what are people asking me? And then I take that data and I think with my brain about what would be useful content. And so I was on a podcast with Courtney Elmer and she said like where in my process do I use AI or where don't I use AI? And I said AI never touches any pre-production or production work. Because that's the stuff that actually requires me to be present and think through it. Post production, finding keywords, helping me zhuzh up descriptions to maybe make a better hook than what I thought of because I'm always very like direct. um, gather show notes, do some like recommend editing. Those are things that I'm fine with AI doing as long as I actually do it. But like the pre-production and production stuff, I am doing the work. And so I want that all to come from me.
Yeah, and that's really like as I said, I know people get busy all the time, and sometimes it just feels the easiest to go that route. And but I do really like what you're doing in the sense of like I love that there's ways that people can do stuff without because sometimes it's not that people are lazy, it's not that people don't want to do that stuff, it's just sometimes they don't have the time for it, which is a huge thing, and so they just need ways to simplify the process and things like that. But then how do you kind of view using those types of tools but then also not trying to you know let it do everything for you, like also trying to be like, I'm using this for a good reason, I'm not abusing the power. Like, how do you kind of see that?
Yeah, I always err on the side of not using it until I think that, or at least not assuming what it has produced is good. I think that's really where I come down. So like I published a blog post called like 3 warning signs you've got AI brain rot and how to prevent it. Um and it really comes down to how quickly do you run to AI after you start thinking about a problem? Like if you can't think about something for 5 minutes without asking AI, that is problematic. Or like if you genuinely, I know there's a joke like, oh, Claude's down, time to go outside. But if you genuinely feel like you can't get your work done when Claude is down, like that is a problem. And so my philosophy is I don't use large language models. And I think this is really important to say too. Like, um, large, like AI is large language models today. They are basically word calculators. They're really advanced autocomplete, right? Like, so don't use them for thinking work. Don't refer to what they do as thinking. Don't personify them. And remember that they're computers and they're best at doing computer work. We should do the thinking and we should let the computer do the computer stuff.
Yeah, exactly, it's a team effort, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And like I always refer to it as it. Like I never say he or she. Um
I'm in a
and I
relationship with my computer.
right. I mean like that's and like I mean so I was talking to my therapist about this because there are people who are like that, right? Like the movie Her with Joaquin Phoenix and Scarlett Johansson is like closer than you think because Cal Newport said this recently like large language models are sycophantic and they want to please you, right? And so like there are people who be like, "Oh, it's my thinking buddy," right? But like it shouldn't be because it's never going to challenge you or it's going to challenge you once because it's in its programming to push back once. But then as soon as you dig in, it's like, "Oh, you're totally right." Right? And so um I much prefer using it to crunch data. I use it for proofreading. I never let it touch my work. So I always like I give it the text and I say, "Tell me what's wrong with this." And then I go in and I make the changes manually because I don't want the large language model changing what I've written. I want to be the sole uh purveyor of that, we'll say. Purveyor I don't think is the right word, but the final word on that.
But a word, yeah, no, exactly, but it's like the way I see it, you found a great balance uh and a great mindset in you want to use the stuff to make it easy, but then you also want to make sure you're trying to balance do it yourself and also simplify the process. Like it's just a matter of how you go about it, and that's something that those services And those types of consultation are what people need to. That's why there are advisors is a big thing. Like maybe like if someone's going to buy a car, you know what I mean? Like there's people out there, I'm sure, that will go about and say, okay, these are your options. Like, the salesman will kind of say, like, these are your options. I'm selling you the car, but I'm also advising you. This is what you should do. This is what you should not do. And same thing applies with the amazing work that you're doing as well, which is just really just a matter of just steering people in the right direction. And but it still yields great results, which I really really like too.
Yeah, and I want to tag in on something that you said earlier, which is, it's probably not malice or laziness. It's that people don't have the time, and this is what I want to help people do. Right? Is create the time and space in their business so that they can actually do the writing, or so that they can actually review the podcast, or create that client report instead of just feeding a transcript into ChatGPT and saying, come up with this report for me. Like I want to help them get that time back so that they can do the work that really matters.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. Like, I mean, someone like you have kids and everything like that, which I gotta say, I also admire. I'll say this too, because there's people who don't always do this. As we're scheduling, the interview times and things like that. One of the things you said was the only time I can't do is I think it was after 5 p.m. because that's family time. And
Yeah.
right off the bat, as soon as I saw that, I said, good man. You know what I mean? Like that's a good man, because there's people that sometimes they do not know how to shut it off, and not that it's a bad thing. It can always be a good thing if you're working hard and things like that. But you are the type of guy that you're like, I'm setting boundaries. I'm not going to be on call 24/7. I'm gonna, 5 o'clock comes, work goes off, and it's my family time. Was that a big adjustment for you? Did you is that something that kind of came as the process went on, or is it something that you just had from the moment that you had kids?
Uh, it's it's something I desired from the moment I had kids, right? Like, there are two things that people will say about me, and it's that I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit. I think that's just a really nice way of saying I don't like being told what to do. And the other is that I was basically born a dad. And so, when I had kids, I was working for an agency, and I'll never forget the moment I knew I was done with this agency. The project manager told me I had to work that weekend if I wanted to get paid on time. And I said, that's not the social contract that we have. I work for somebody else to be confident that I'm going to get paid a regular paycheck. And then I said, and I've got Hamilton tickets. It's my 1 year anniversary, my 1 year wedding anniversary. And so I'm unavailable. Fire me if you need to. And they didn't, of course, because I'm good at my job. Um,
That's
but
good.
um, but I knew at that moment, like, it's time for me to go. And when I gave my notice, my director said, "Is there anything we can make you do to stay?" And I said, "I'm not missing my kids' first steps because I was working late for you." And he respected that. But it is when I went out on my own, you feel that, especially when times are slow. Like, you feel that pressure. Like, you have to, like, you work more hours, therefore you get more money, which is just not true. Like, if you're working more hours, just spinning your wheels, you're not making more money, and you're losing out on precious time. Um, and so it was really during the pandemic that because I work from home, and so it's easy to not switch contexts. And so I set some rules around no laptop in the living room, right? Or, like, after this time, my phone's notifications go off, and I'm fully present with my kids. If my kids notice that I'm on my phone when I'm with them, they have permission to take it from me and hide it somewhere. Um, and so it takes work. but the desire for those boundaries was not hard. Drawing them was a little harder, and I do have some like more practical tactics for drawing those boundaries, or kind of how to shut down your brain at the end of the workday so that you're not thinking about it later.
This episode of the Corcoran Entertainment Show is brought to you by Holy Hydrogen. Okay, guys, let's be real. We all try our best to stay hydrated, right? But not all water is created equal. That's where Holy Hydrogen comes in. They've got this awesome device called the Lourdes Hydrofix Premium Edition, and it takes clean water to the next level by infusing it with molecular energy. That means you're not just drinking water, you're giving your body extra support with every sip. Better energy, less inflammation, and a real boost to your immune system. So try the Lourdes Hydrofix Premium Edition today by going to shop.holyhydrogen.com/Corcoran and use the promo code Corcoran for $100 off your purchase. Again, that's shop.holyhydrogen.com/Corcoran and use the promo code Corcoran at checkout. Stay hydrated and stay healthy. It's one of those things that like you want, like you're scared to do it at first. Like you're scared to like, what are they going to say if I do this? Are they going to fire me? Blah, blah, blah. And so you're just thinking about it constantly, and not just with like work stuff, but you're probably always thinking about it just with life in general. Like if you have a friend who's acting a certain way and you want to say something to him, you're just like, oh, I don't want to do it because it'll, maybe it'll ruin the friendship if I do it. And then once you do it, you're like, wow, there's a weight off my shoulder because first I had to get that off my chest. And second is that I'm just relieved that there's no hard feelings. Like you're worried that there's going to be hard feelings there, and then there's not, and you're like, okay, that had to happen. You know what I mean? So you kind of have to, and that's sometimes now, who knows? Depending on who the friend is, maybe they take it the wrong way and they don't talk to you again. You know what I mean? But like, it's just something that eventually you got to do for yourself. Like if this is bottling up, lay it on the table.
Yeah, and like I mean, I would say if in those instances, I'm a very direct person. Um, I don't think I have my I saw my friend over the weekend from college, and she was telling me that if it's in my head, it's on my face, which is to say, I can't really hide how I'm feeling.
Right.
I'm like an emotional Italian New Yorker. And so just like you're gonna know how we feel at all times. And I used to try to hide it, but I lean into that now. And if I have to have a hard conversation, if I'm worried I'm gonna lose the friendship, then the person I'm talking to doesn't trust me the way a friend should trust somebody. Um, and like with work, I was always, I mean, this feels like a digression, but like I was always the guy who asked the hard questions because again, if something doesn't sound right to me, I'm going to ask about it. I constantly tell my family that I don't like arbitrary and capricious rules, and so if something seems arbitrary or capricious, I am going to push back on it. Um, and in all of the places where I worked, when I left, my coworkers were like, "Who's going to ask the hard questions?" And I'm like, "You can." Do you notice how I didn't get fired after asking any of those hard questions? We just got answers we were hoping to get. So I think like people worry about the reaction to of speaking their mind, but I feel a lot like the alternative for me not speaking their mind is it just like eating my brain and then not being able to let it go.
Yeah, that's it. It's just sometimes you just got to let it out. You know what I mean? Like, and this is something that you can certainly attest to too. Talking about your anxiety attack, which was a
Hmm.
big thing too. And
Yeah.
it's something that like it was at that moment that you realized, it was kind of a life changing experience for you. You know what I mean? And so it's sometimes it's like you're glad, maybe things didn't end the way I wanted to, but it had to happen one way or another. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like when it's almost like being in a bad relationship, it's bad, and you don't want to let them go. And then when it does end, you're like, there's relief, but you're also like, oh, shit, like, I really miss, you know what I mean? Like, so it's like you go through all the stages of grief. And it's really, that's just kind of how it goes. But talking about your the anxiety attack, the big one that you had that
Yeah.
resulted in kind of a shift in your priorities and stuff. Take us back to that. So when was that all happened?
Yeah, so that was November 2020. So we were what, 6 months or so into the 8 months, I guess, into the pandemic. My wife is a nurse, an ICU nurse, so she was at work. We, um, my mother-in-law was immunocompromised, and so we didn't have, we couldn't have like a family unit. So it was on me. I had a 3-year-old and a 3, 4 month old at the time. Um, and because there was no school, my wife was working more and I was doing more of the childcare, I could feel like I didn't have the systems in place to allow me to confidently run my business without always being at my desk. And it came to a head one day. And like the truth is that I was feeling that stress that morning of, oh my gosh, I need to get a sponsor for my podcast. I haven't gotten a client in a long time. I'm spending a lot of money. Um, and my son, he had like a sensitive gag and he threw up. Like he woke up early from his nap and he threw up. And that's actually a new, I haven't included that detail a lot, but I was really hoping to have that nap time to do work. And so I got up there and I changed him and I came downstairs and he's still crying. And yeah, I started to have a panic attack. And I was sitting on the floor in my kitchen and my 3-year-old came up to me and I'm crying. And she hands me a bottle of water and she says, "It's okay, Daddy. Everything's going to be okay." Um, and I mean, the emotional intelligence on a 3-year-old was impressive, but that wasn't okay to me. Like, I'm supposed to be taking care of you. And now your dad, the only adult around, is like helpless on the floor crying. Um, and so the next day I could work. Like I took a picture. Like if you've seen me give this talk, I have a picture from that moment because I had the presence of mind to be like, I need to remember this right now. Because that's when I decided I was going to make a change and I was going to finally hire a VA to do some of the stuff I didn't need to do. And I was going to lean in even more to process automation. And like 13 months later, our third, we are a good Catholic family. And so we have two very small children who are very close in age. Our third child was born on Christmas Eve, 2021. I took 6 weeks off for Christmas because I always take it's like a hard like an academia thing for me. The last 2 weeks of the year are vacation time for me. And then I took the entire month of January off to spend it with my newly expanded family. And things were fine. I played a lot of video games and spent a lot of time with my kids, but I didn't think a whole lot about work.
That's good mindset. That's good
Yeah.
because then, of course, there's always in the back of your mind, I feel guilty because I'm not there. I feel guilty because, I have clients depending on me and other people involved who are depending on me. And so then that kind of stress, kind of builds on you too. You didn't have any of those feelings whatsoever?
No, and part of it is I was really so like the system for me is make sure that you have some work built up, right? So you do need to plan this so that like the podcast keeps going, the newsletter keeps going. Um, Make sure that there is someone or something that's keeping track of a bunch of stuff and communicate. I think solopreneurs are so worried that not being available is a sign to potential clients that they are not hireable. And I can tell you with absolute certainty that that is not true. I used to make websites for a living. If a website went down while I was on vacation, I had someone else who was able to handle it. And so when I was away for 6 weeks, I had an I communicated to any current clients and sponsors that this was happening well ahead of time. Hey, I don't exist until January 30th or whatever, right? Um, and then for anybody who emailed me, I had an autoresponder saying, hey, with Christmas and my newborn, I am probably not going to get back to you until February. In the meantime, here's some of my best content. Feel free to email me again then. So it's about drawing those boundaries, having systems in place to take care of the work that needs to get done, and communicating extremely clearly to people about what your capacity is.
Yeah, everyone has different workloads because it's so easy for people if a person's like, I have to take time off because I'm stressed or whatever. Sometimes their immediate thought is, yeah, so what? I'm stressed too. Have you ever had that
Yeah.
before?
I mean, there are people who will say, well, you don't understand. I have to respond to email immediately. And I always say, what is the worst thing that happened from you not responding to email immediately? Did someone die? People aren't emailing life and death situations. I mean, I guess unless you're like, a head of state, right? Then you're probably using Signal. You can edit that out. That was stupid. Um, but
I gotta keep that now.
yeah. um, but it's like a story that we tell ourselves, right? I mean, someone like I said, why can't you go on a vacation without your laptop? And they said, what if my client needs something while I'm away? In most cases, what could your client possibly need that can't wait a week? Like, and this is part of the system, right? When you let your clients know 1 or 2 months ahead of time that you're going to be out for an extended amount of time, you get the stuff you need to get done, and then the rest can wait till you come back. Or like, oh, well, if someone DMs me and they want my lead magnet, or I heard this one too. Well, in my welcome sequence, it says, reply to this and I'll respond back. Okay. That's a very fixable problem. Just say, I'm on vacation. I'll get back to you as soon as I see it. like we tell ourselves these stories because we're scared of what might happen. But I have learned I spent 2 weeks in Italy for my vacation. I didn't bring my laptop. I used a burner phone, a Google Fi phone that barely worked. I took a month paternity when I was at that agency. A project manager emailed me or DM'd me or whatever, and they're like, "Hey, I'm gonna put a meeting on your calendar." And I said, "I don't exist.
Yep.
I don't exist until April 20th." And they're like, "But I need this meeting," and I'm like, "It's really hard to have a meeting with somebody who doesn't exist. I'll see you on the 20th." Right? And I mean, she didn't like that, but most people respect that. And so, like last year, went to Disney World with the kids. I love Disney World. And I didn't bring my laptop, and I bricked my phone before going to the parks. I don't know if you're familiar with this device, a brick.
A brick?
Yes, it is a refrigerator magnet and an app, and you scan the magnet, and it locks you out of a predetermined list of apps until you physically scan it again.
Ooh.
And so we kept this in our hotel, in our resort. I would scan it before I left, and I physically couldn't check email or any. I don't have social media apps on my phone, but like social websites or anything else distracting. I could check my text messages, my phone, and the Disney app, and the camera. And I couldn't physically get to my email until I got back to the resort at 11 o'clock at night when I'm not checking, when I'm not doing anything, right? Um, the world did not crumble. I didn't lose clients. My newsletter subscribers did not go down to zero. I had my best year ever last year. So it's about managing expectations and boundaries and having systems.
And also, you want to be appreciated too is a big thing too. Like if you're just constantly on call and the people you know they clearly don't appreciate that you're, the sacrifices you're making. You're at Disney World with your family, for example, and this client is just blah 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 blah, get back to me, and then you're like, okay, I'm on vacation. It's a big client. I'm gonna answer the phone and just see what they want, and I'll help them through. And then afterwards, not even a thank you for sacrificing your time, things like that. I
Yeah.
mean, is that how far does that go? Appreciation.
They are not going to remember that you took time out of your vacation to help them.
Yeah.
Most people won't. Your kids will, or your partner will, because they got help. The client got help. But the way that you made your family feel like they were second to some random person who's not there, that stays with them. And that's ultimately what made me take social media apps off my phone, by the way. Like I was looking at something on LinkedIn that annoyed me. And instead of just like forgetting about it and putting my phone down, I was mad at my kids for no reason. And I'm like, what kind of father am I that like some random stranger who I don't know said something that annoyed me, and now that's going to seep into my like what I'm doing with my kids who are with me? Like that's crazy. So I think it means a lot. And by the way, we tell ourselves that being constantly on call is valuable, but it really kind of means you don't have anything going on, right? If you can drop everything anytime someone bangs into your inbox or texts you, then you don't have a lot. What you're signaling is you don't have a lot going on. But when you say, hey, I can't do that today, it's going to have to wait a week. Now you are simultaneously drawing the boundary while telling the person, yeah, I am in demand. Like people want me to do the thing. And this happened to me with contract work recently where, the client was mad that I had done something for myself instead of them. And I said, I have income goals. Like I just said that straight up. And what I was saying was, you are not paying me enough to only be working for you. And the message was received. And so like, again, maybe it goes back to my directness, but it's about, we teach people how to treat us. And if you respond to email right away, and if you drop everything you're doing every time somebody asks you to do something, what you are telling them is that you prioritize them over you. When people email me, they know that they should not expect a response within 24 hours. I'm probably going to get back to them the next weekday, if that. And nobody gets mad at me for that because they know how I operate. And if you really need me, it's an emergency, you can call me. Except no one has my number because the kind of work I've chosen to do does not warrant a phone call level emergency.
Yep. Don't give out your number. is really what it is. Give them a fake number.
I use Google Voice. I've had sponsors like TalkRoute who do it's a virtual number that you can turn on and off. I accidentally gave a client my number once because they called my Google Voice number and I called them back from my cell phone until they had my cell number. But the way I fixed that, because they would text me and say, hey, can you do this? I would always respond with, yeah, I should be able to take care of that on Wednesday or whatever. Can you just email me so I don't forget? Right? And I would always say, can you just email me so I don't forget? And what I'm telling them there is email is the better way to get what you're asking me to get done. And they stopped texting me because they knew that I would just tell them to email me anyway.
Yep. It's it, I just feel like stuff like this is never touched on as importantly as it should be because it's, like we said, like I know in today's day and age, or well, hell, maybe not even in today's day and age, people have been like this for years, that it's just like, okay, you got to work, you got to do this and that, and you're like, yes, while that is true, you have downtime and days off for a reason. They're not just there for, for shits and giggles.
Yeah, I mean, there was a time where you couldn't work if you were outside the office, right? Last summer, I told somebody I was taking a vacation without my laptop, and they said, "Good for you." And I'm like, that is not the response. The proper response should be, "Why would you?" Right?
Yeah.
But, oh, I could never do that. Or, oh, good for you taking a vacation without your laptop. I always, like, if I'm going on vacation, I'm not bringing my laptop because that implies that I intend on working, right? If I'm bringing my laptop, there's the intention of doing work. If I am not bringing my laptop, I don't have that intention and I am not capable. And so like that's super important to me. It always has been. When I worked at the University of Scranton, the first day of my vacation, um, the director of that department, who's no longer there, emailed me and said, Joe, if you have some downtime on your vacation, and I have no idea what the rest of that email said because I deleted it.
Yep.
No idea. I don't know. I, honest to God, do not know what the ask was because it said, if you have downtime, and I'm like, I'm not. I deleted it. She never asked me about it. Never brought it up. And so she knew that I was not happy to get that email.
Understandably so, though.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep. Yeah. And now I don't have, like, I have a few contractor emails. Those are not on my phone. The only email address on my phone is the one that I need for like 2-factor authentication.
yeah, no, that's important.
Yeah.
Do you love seeing? I'm not sure. You've probably seen like the TikToks and memes people will make of like toxic bosses and stuff like that. Them acting like toxic bosses, and there's people who comment, "Oh, come on, they're not that bad." Do you think they can be that bad?
I think they definitely can be that
Yeah.
bad. I mean it. I had a boss, um, basically tell me that I couldn't go to a concert that I had tickets to that night because this website launch was super important. And I was in my mid 20s and I really liked this job and it was paying me a lot better than the last job. And I said fine. And the website didn't launch the next day or the next week. And I'm like, this was obviously just a power play. And so the next time I was like, nope, I'm not available tonight. You're going to have to pay me a lot more to own my free time. And so that's a mistake I've only made once or twice. And, when I was single, it was more fine to me. I would say like, oh, well, I really like making websites. Like my hobby is also my job and I'm really lucky. And so I'll just do it. But, now people say like, oh, my job is my hobby or I don't have hobbies. And that really bums me out because hobbies help us think a certain way and change contexts. And, they're really important for things other than just having something to do. They make us a more complete person. And so, I mean, your question is like, can bosses be like that? Yes. That boss was like that. The one who emailed me, if you have done, like they were tests. That's why she didn't bring it up again. She was just seeing how responsive will I be when I'm on vacation. And she quickly learned not. I am away. And I don't owe you anything while I'm on vacation. And then the same thing with the project manager who tried to put a meeting on my calendar while I was on paternity. Like those are really strong boundaries and people will try to push them to get what they want. And it's a shame. And like as a straight white male, with a salt and pepper beard, I probably haven't seen. I'm gonna guess I haven't seen the worst of it. Because I also see how people have treated my wife, and it's been different. Not at her, not at her current employer. She's a nurse, but in certain contexts. So I fully believe that people can be like that. I've seen it, and I haven't even seen the worst of it.
Yeah, because people will see how it's dramatized and they're like, oh, yeah, clearly this is, this person's over reacting. But you're like, okay, maybe in some instances, in some reels and skits and stuff like that. But for the most part, a lot of it's like, no, like you would be shocked by how real this is. You know what I mean? Like whenever we hear about all the crazy stuff going on in the world, you're like, yeah, there's no way that's real. And then you're like, oh, no, this is real. This is really happening in today's day and age. And, it's it's unfortunate for sure, but it's really all about how you go about it, and setting boundaries is the big thing. You know what I mean? Like that's the big thing, and I really, really admire how far you've come along, Joe. I really, really have, and in seeing you, as I said, even you saying, I don't know, it was like it was such a small message, but right there when I had that message from you, when you're like, yeah, I can't do anything after 5 p.m. because that's family time. I was like, that's a good man. You know what I mean? And this is a guy that I want to chat with and hear his story. And of course, about the panic attack and everything, because I've went through several of those in my life. And it's some people might hear and go, well, it's not a heart attack. You're like, well, it feels like it, you know, it does.
It's a you're non-functional for a certain amount of time, right? Like
Yeah.
I think that's so interesting. And like, first of all, I mean, like, I really appreciate that you appreciated that comment. I like didn't think much of it
Yeah,
because
I
I kind
thought
of
so
take
much
the
of it. I
yeah.
was like, I love that,
Um,
man.
yeah, because I mean, I take the approach that like if that's not, I had somebody like I canceled a meeting on them because my kid was sick and they felt like that was unacceptable, and I'm like, thank you for showing me who you are, and it's definitely not somebody I want to work with. Um, if like you're getting mad at me because my kid is homesick, right? Like so, I kind of take that approach. Like if you can't empathize with somebody on that most basic level, uh, you're not somebody I want to work with, right? And so, yeah, it's a nice reminder that a gesture like that does have an impact, and so I really like that. And oh, okay, I was like, what was I actually? But the panic attack, right, where you're non-functional. My dad's a boomer, right? He's like a hard 73. Um, and I don't mean that pejoratively. It's just like so you get an idea of like where his headspace is at because he was raised in a generation where men don't cry and stress is weakness. Um, and he said he would say to me, just don't be stressed. I'm like, oh, of course, just don't be stressed. And that's kind of the reaction, right? To well, it's not a heart attack. No, but it sucks. And like you feel like you're completely out of control. Like you cannot control how your body is reacting to these external things that you also don't have control over. And that's a bad feeling. And I know that like since the pandemic, there has been a bigger focus on mental health and understanding mental health. And it's like not weird for a guy to say he's in therapy now, which is really cool. Um, but it does help us to remember like, hey, we don't know what people are really going through. Most people put their best face forward when they can, but it's always good to check in with people once in a while and be like, hey, how are you doing? Can I help you? Is there anything I can do for you?
Those simple gestures mean a lot. They really, really do.
Yeah.
And it's people saying like as we mentioned of like, oh come on, it's not a heart attack or anything like that. It's like it'd be like you getting in an accident and losing a leg and going, well, hey, you didn't lose both your legs.
Well, yeah, you still have one, right?
You just have one. They're like, okay, I'd rather have them both, but okay,
Yeah, right.
But everyone deals with all that stuff differently. And It's just showing compassion, like as we were talking about, showing compassion, setting the proper boundaries, really goes a long way to help people. And you've certainly inspired lots, Joe, through your story and through all your experiences. And it's something that we all strive to be like that for sure. So as we kind of wrap up here, it's as I as I said, whenever you have someone who is willing to, because we're in a day and age now, and we've always been in a day and age where like the old generation, like you got to work 24/7. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's like, okay,
Yeah.
that's kind of how you lived. I'm gonna work, and I work, but it's like I'm not gonna make that my entire life. I need time for myself and for family and things like that. And it's something that if you were to kind of give like a piece of advice for somebody listening right now who maybe they're struggling with turning their work mode off, maybe they're struggling because they deal with somebody who forces too much on them, what would you kind of say to them?
Oh, yeah, good question. So I think I'll make this a three quickies, right? The first is that there are lots of studies now that show that um, if you take 2 weeks off of work, when you come back, you will be better at your job. You will think more clearly. You will be refreshed. And so I think people forget that side of it. Like working constantly gives you diminishing returns to a point where you're not doing your best work or maybe even good work. So like time, if you want to work the most effectively, taking time off will help you do that. So that's the first piece of advice. The way that I turn off in the evenings, right? So I have my office. I have a bunch of smart lights here. Um, so like my
Nice, dope.
office will turn right. My office will turn red at 6 p.m. Um, and that is the signal to me that hey, you are in your office for too long now, right? And so like if my kids have an extracurricular and the kids are out and I'm just trying to wrap up a couple of things, um I try to leave my office by 5:30. Usually extracurriculars force me to leave by 5:30 anyway. But if I'm still in here at 6, my office turns red, and I use an app called Todoist, which has a feature called Ramble, where I will just word vomit everything that's on my brain, and then it will turn it into a task list for me. And so I'm taking what I call my open threads and I'm putting them somewhere to deal with tomorrow so that I'm not thinking about work at the soccer field or at cello practice or something like that. Um, and number three is be candid with if someone's treating you like garbage, um, be frank with be be candid with them. Um, uh, because they might not realize they're doing it, but even if they do, you're putting your cards up on the table and you're standing up for yourself. Um, Saint Ignatius, I went to a Jesuit college, so I always got to work in some Jesuit philosophy. Saint Ignatius, no, I'm sorry, Saint Thomas Aquinas said that if we don't take care of ourselves, we cannot take care of others. And so by letting the person who's pushing the boundaries on your life know that they're doing that, you at the very least are standing up for yourself. And I can't stand here or sit here and say, you're not going to get fired, but I have been fired exactly 0 times for speaking my mind. The only time I ever got fired is after I gave my 2 weeks notice. And they said, just leave now. I'm like, all right, fair
You can't
enough.
fire me, I quit.
Yeah, yeah, right, exactly. You can't quit. I'm firing you. Very, very big of you. Thank you for confirming my decision. Um, so, uh, yeah, I think a lot of people are worried that speaking up for themselves, like you said earlier, will garner a negative reaction, and that has just it's been my experience more often than not that people would say, I didn't realize I was doing that, or um, I didn't realize you felt that way, or thanks for letting me know. How can we fix this?
Definitely. Absolutely. Joe, thank you for that. And thank you for taking the time to come on. to the show today, because it's, like this is the type of story that will help other people, and certainly has helped me, even just reading about it. And so getting the chance to talk to you was just the icing on the cake. So thank you so much. Where could people find you on social media, websites, and all that?
So I'm not on much social media these days,
Oh,
but
it's
if
right.
you
We
go,
we just talked about that actually. Yeah, I don't have social media. So what's your social media?
I am on LinkedIn, so you can find me over there. But if you go to streamlined with a D, streamlined.fm/Frankie, that is the name of the host, then you will find my links. But I will also have a way for you to join my mailing list, and you will get what I call the solopreneur sweep. So if I was talking about all this boundary drawing and automating and delegating, and you're like, that's great, I don't know, like, how do I do that? Where do I start? The Solopreneur Sweep is a framework that will help you create more time in your schedule and understand what tasks you actually need to do. So again, streamlined.fm/Frankie.
Perfect. Perfect. That's awesome. So we'll put that in the episode description so you guys can just click on that. Joe, thank you so much, man, for taking the time to come on. Best of luck, and congrats on setting boundaries. It's just truly inspiring.
Frankie, thanks so much. This was an absolute pleasure. I hope your listeners got something from this, because this is really important to me. So thank you for giving me the platform.
Yeah, and more important to people than we might even realize too. So it's truly fantastic. Guys, thank you all for listening to the Corkin Entertainment Show today. We'll see you guys in the next episode. But until then, this is Frankie and Joe signing off. Have a great one, man.
You too. Thanks.